Hello again and welcome back. This is the final video for how to use Screencastify. We are looking into the editing portion now. So you just finished recording your session. It automatically loaded itself to this page here, which was a preview. We wanted to go and do further editing into our software, so we hit the Open Edit button, and it led to Screencastify Edit, so the Edit Unlimited section. Now, before we continue, a very important plug. If you ever have any issues or questions or anything, always visit the MP Techies website. This has a lot of helpful videos already, and hints and clues and little tips and tricks on how to use a lot of the software and all kinds of goodies that we use from day to day. So, when we get into this editing software, we'll notice something. Our video is located right at the bottom to start off. So you'll notice that as I move the mouse around, it is moving to different parts of my video section. The menu here, this is where the power comes in. So we have a section that we're going to go through. So right now, I can't cut anything. So if I click on the video, now I can choose when I want to cut. So if I choose to cut, I cut this section. So I can go to areas that I want to cut and undo them if I don't want to cut them anymore. So cutting is good for you if you need to actually get rid of dead space or clear out something or want to put something in between. Crop, if you notice, we can click on a section, and once I click on it, now when I hit crop, it'll take effect. If you notice, when I click on the video film area, it shows up with a yellow bar around it. That gives us the ability to actually utilize the options here. So if we go to crop, now it'll give us the chance to crop a certain area. So now we're just going to zoom in on, let's say, this section. Now if I go with done, right, it'll crop for that time period. So now if you notice, the video is just cropped the whole rest of the way through, but only showing me this corner of the page. So that will help you if you wanted to crop out an area that you noticed you didn't want located within your video. Zoom is very good because if, let's say, you want people to get further focus or there's a visual impairment, you can actually zoom in for a certain amount of time only in a certain area. So let's say I zoom in. Now, the fun part of exploring with this is you're going to get to play around and choose what you think works best. So I want to zoom in only on my face. And we just have this set up like that. So once I hit done, you can choose the transition speed in and out, but I can also edit that as well. Watch. So once I hit done, it's already set to zoom in only at a certain point. Now, if you'll notice, when you add things, you'll be able to extend or minimize the amount of time things are zoomed in for. So if we leave this for a short period of time to be zoomed in, what I'm going to do is test it. How do I know if it's working? So anytime you're doing some editing, you can go ahead and click a previous moment and then hit play. So you can watch from that particular moment on. So if you want to cut and you want to see how the cut looks, you can do it like that. If you want to crop something and see how it looks, you can go back. And if you don't like it, you can hit undo. So we're going to see how it zooms in once I hit zoom. Screencastify at the bottom here. It says screen video recording is sharing your screen. So it's just to let you know. One thing that's interesting is you can hide the screen sharing section. So now that it's played through, it is attempting to show how the zoom is, and once we come back to a certain point, it will pull back out. So if I extend that just a little bit and we go back, you can change the amount of time that it's extended for. Now let's say I've done a little bit of messing around. I want to delete this. I don't want it there anymore. I can actively just hit the delete button and we can get rid of that. As long as I'm clicking on the thing that is circled in yellow, that is what I'm controlling. So right now, if you notice, this is all grayed out. I cannot add anything except for maybe text. Now, text is because of where the line bar is, but the other editing you can't do until you click back on the video. So I click back on the video to make sure I want to do what I need to do. So we went over zoom. Now, blur is another interesting one because now the same way that I can choose to blur for a certain period of time, so the length of this bar correlates to that particular period of time. So I can actively take the blur, and when I click on it, we can actually utilize the box and make it as big or small as we want to begin with. as well as the intensity of the blur. We can make it extremely blurry, and you can add multiple blurs. So with a lot of these new additions, it's very powerful. So we're going to undo the blur, and we're going to try this out and play it and see what happens when we play. So you can have fun with this while you're building. Screencastify at the bottom here. It says screen video recording is sharing your screen. So it's just to let you know, one thing that's interesting is you can hide the screen sharing section. So if you notice, the blur is about there. So now I'm going to minimize it so that the blur goes away. So when we play again, notice how it'll show up and go away. Screen video recording is sharing your screen. So it's just to let you know, one thing that's interesting is you can hide the screen sharing section. So the purpose of the blur would be another good reason for, let's say you have maybe somebody's information or an example, but you don't want to show information from the example, you can blur it out. So with that, one of the ones that I prefer to use quite often is the text box, which, you can write down whatever you want. And once you have that set up, you can go through and edit what kind of font you want in this section. So all the option menus will be on the right-hand side. So from here, you can add different editing. Now, this is what I like about it, is we can set the position, high, middle, or low. So you can actively set the normal position that it shows on your video. Now, just like the other boxes, when we show what we want, we can actually come down and actually choose the font color. We can highlight, and you can choose a background for the section. So what becomes important is to experiment. Always play around with the software that we're using. I can also choose, here, let's actually go with a different one. So you can actually create a box. So I'm going to empty this, clear this one. So you can see the box. So you can also make a box around stuff. So let's say we're done with our look here. The same way we made the length of time for the actual information, or let's say the crop, or the zoom or the blur, you can change the length of time that the text can show up. So if I set it to about here, and we want to test, let's see how quick it comes and goes. To our video. So our video, look here, is sitting here automatically, and we can move this. And now it goes away again. So you can do that every time. And you can come in and re-edit by double-clicking. And you can come into actually it's a single click. I take that back. You can come in here and begin to edit your text, edit whatever it is you put in. Now, one of the other bits that you might be wondering is, now, if I want to see, all right, this timing is off, I can actually zoom in and out. So zooming in and out is actually zooming in and out on the depth of time that passes in your video. So if you have to be very accurate and you want to be between a take, so if I made a mistake, as I previously did, I recanted, I could edit that section out so that it just goes from one explanation to the next. So with that, I'm going to pull back out. And we are going up to one of the last fun parts that I like about this. So I'm going to delete my little addition. A new thing they added to this that I really like is add media. So if we wanted to add media, you can add a title, which would be only in the beginning or the end. So when we hit add title, it jumps to there. And the same way the text box works, it gives you the same options. Mind you, the text box for the title can only be in the beginning or the end. So if I try and drop this in the middle, it'll disappear from the beginning, and you'll notice, actually let's zoom out so that way we don't have to scroll as much. It went to the end instead of the beginning. So I don't want that there anymore. So I'm going to get rid of the title. We're going to make sure I highlighted it so it's surrounded in yellow. I delete it. So if I want to add a different bit of media from our drive, so we can go into our Google Drive now, which is also another lovely addition, and you can add pictures. You can add other videos. So depending on what you would like to add to the mix, you can add, so let's say we want to add my duck and cover video. So it processes it. It builds it into the section, so you can actually have a discussion where you teach students and then have it show up in the middle of the event. Now, if I wanted to, I can actually, let's say I want this video, the duck and cover video, in the middle of my lesson. I can come here and I can choose to cut So I split our video that we recorded in half. I can drag this video in between, and now it is between our little video. So we can switch from here. So we're watching. This will help you while you record. So in this set of options, there's key command. Let's get a little bit closer. So again, the zoom is very helpful because you can see, so you don't waste as much time. So we're going from here. So that is what I was saying before. We can close it out in this option menu. And it quickly segued right to another video. So you can edit as much as you want. Now the same way with the adding stuff from Drive, which is very helpful, I'm going to delete this while we talk, is you can also, if we want, so once it is cut, now if I have to, that's one thing to be mindful of. Once you cut something, merging it, it does not, I believe, have a merge option yet. So I'm going to hit undo enough times to get rid of the stuff that I didn't want. So now we're back to the original video. And one of the last things is if we go to upload, I can upload a particular item or something like that. So I can upload this. So we can pick whatever it is. So we can get a little crazy with that. So upload I have not messed with too much yet, so I'm not too familiar. So we'll come back to that at a later date. But other than that, let's say we are finished. We made our whole video. Now we want to export it. So we're finished editing. We've used all the different software. We've covered again, cutting a video in the middle or any section, cropping the video to a certain visual field, zoom, so you can zoom in temporarily or as long as you want to a certain area. Blur, you can blur certain content for any period of time and a certain area. You can add multiple blurs. Text, you can add multiple text and you can have it located for as long as you want and you can move it around. And then delete, make sure everything you click on is that you want to delete is highlighted with the yellow box before you delete. Play is just the regular playback. The zoom in and out is the control of the bar. So it's how far zoomed in you want to go. So meaning how accurate in timing you want to be able to cut. And then add media. So again, title will be at the beginning or the end, and drive will just be if you want to go to your Google Drive to add something you already have uploaded. The upload section I have not utilized yet, so I'm not too familiar with that. So let's say we finished. We're going to hit export now. So now you have your choices. So you can export through MP4 rather, or export to Google Drive. So let's export to Google Drive because that'll be the main option. So we're going to make our video test 3. And once we click save, it begins processing and it will upload it. One thing that's interesting is you can share the video now, but it won't be viewable until processed. So you can have the link and you can share a video before it's even finished processing. So if you made something very long, it will process and be able to be seen later. So now that we're done, we can either view video or share. So let's try share. So if I go into share, it will actually give me the standard link that we're used to. So we can actually share it with other people direct. Or if I go to view video, we can view the video on Screencastify. Now, when we are finished working, it takes us back to the menu that we saw before. What's important to know is now we can actually share it to a classroom. We can share the link to Google Drive, but it also, very important, it automatically uploads it to a specific folder, and you can place that folder where you need to, but it will be titled Screencastify in your Google Drive. So if you ever make a video, you don't know where it is, search for Screencastify in your Google Drive, and that will help you locate it. All right, and that will be the end of our Screencastify learning session.